Yesterday, I drew you a pitiful picture of myself with my head in the pillow and my desire to rest, and it lasted about an hour. You get in a place where the time zone is different, and you live that way a week, and then when you get home, you not only have that time difference to deal with, you have jet lag. And I have had that fog, sort of happening last night. I actually stayed awake till about 3 a.m. and then slept till 9 this morning. So I'm still sort of on Anchorage, Vancouver type time. If you are going to take a trip and you're going to do anything important after a jet flight, you need to account for about a day and a half of reorienting yourself to wherever you're going because it's not a fun thing even for young people to have jet lag, but older people it's even more. I am not afraid to fly. I have been flying since I was about 12 years old. First time I flew, which is a question they ask you on security questions. First time I flew was in Ripley, Tennessee, 1941, I believe it was, and the war was going on. And the bank offered a free plane ride over the Mississippi River if you bought a $25 war bond. So I got on the phone in the bank and called Mama at home and asked if I could do that. And she spoke to Daddy, and they decided I could. I rode in a Jeep to a little strip outside of town and got in the passenger seat, the co-pilot seat of a single-engine plane, strapped in, and the guy took me over the Mississippi River, and we did all kinds of tricks, and it was like a roller coaster ride. It was wonderful. I had a big time. Never occurred to me that that might be dangerous, particularly over the Mississippi River. If I'd fallen in, I would have been gone forever. Anyway, I started flying then, and all through the years, when we were in evangelism, I flew most every weekend from one revival to the next. We would end one on Sunday morning, and Sunday afternoon I'd fly to the next revival and begin it with a concert if it were beyond driving distance, and very often it was. So sometimes I flew as many as 40 weekends a year. And then after we got out of evangelism, we went while we were in evangelism. We flew to the Holy Land twice, and then after I was divorced and moved to Bellevue again, we went on mission trips to Romania, Brazil, Costa Rica, Argentina. It's actually easier to say the places I haven't been, which was I've never been to Hawaii, never been to the Orient or to Australia. Jim wanted to take me to Africa so much. He wanted to go back, and he wanted to show me all the mission work they had done in Africa, the conference center. And the churches, he put roofs on 11 churches and built a water filtering plant and lots of gardens and grew food. But he said, I don't know that either one of us could take 20 hours of flight. I just not sure about that. So we ever go. But all of those years of flying, I had one time I went with a dentist who had a private plane from one revival to the next, and the weather was awful. We should not have flown. And I was sitting in the co-pilot seat, strapped in, and I don't know I think it was just one engine again. But anyway, we were just doing this, in the air, and it's so scary, but I was not scared, and he wasn't scared. We both should have been. And another time on a big plane, lightning struck one of the engines, and I think it was 4-engine plane. But there's a different, and I started singing "How Great Thou Art," and people calmed down, and we landed in a different place, but we were okay. The plane I was on the way back from Vancouver to Dallas, they on Sunday, um, had 32 rows of 6, and that didn't include first class. Tricia was concerned about our being too confined, so she paid extra for a aisle seat for me and one for Cheney. And when we got on the plane and got all strapped in, I looked over and Cheney was in the middle seat. I leaned over and I said, "Cheney, Tricia just paid $40 for you to have an aisle seat, and you're sitting in the middle." He said, "Well, this guy has a bad knee." Well, that was Cheney's good heart. But I watched that guy get out of the plane. I watched him pick up his luggage later, all that stuff. He didn't have a bad knee. He wanted to sit in the aisle seat. And Cheney's just got a good heart. But anyway, it did make a big difference because I learned I could turn sideways and let the people in, to the window seat and the middle seat, and then turn back around with my legs in front of the seat. And you need to be able to get up and go to the restroom, and you need to be able to get up and walk. They do not serve food. They will sell food. They have fruit and cheese for $11. And they will give you, of course, a soft drink and a cookie. And no more peanuts, because too many people are allergic to peanuts. But I loved it when they did peanuts. Anyhow, we had a sack full of snacks. And if you're going to fly, you better have a sack full of snacks, too. We had Cheez-Its and pecans and sugar-free candy and stuff like that, so we weren't hurting. But I got up one time to just walk because I'd been sitting so long. And I walked to the back of the plane without a cane because the cane was in the overhead, and I could hold on to the back of the seats as I walked. The aisle is very narrow, I walked to the back and went to the restroom, and then when I started walking back, the plane started doing this, and I thought, I cannot walk across that space where they've taken out a row and there's a metal floor. I cannot walk across that with the plane doing this thing. So I stood there a while. I got tired and I got nervous of the wiggling. So I went back to the stewardess and I said, "I need to go back to my seat. I'm scared to walk across that space that does not have any way for me to hold on." And she said, "I'll hold on to you." So she held me for a couple of steps across that place. And then I was able to get back in my seat. Well, going through security is interesting, particularly as on a wheelchair. In Memphis, and incidentally, we watched a storm for 2 hours before we flew. In Memphis, the airport was flickering lights and things were hitting the side of the airport. And we flew, and it was beautiful up above. And where was I? Oh, security. I had a little zipper like this in my jacket. I had on hearing aids, which have a little tiny piece of metal in them. And my boots had zippers up the back. Took the boots off. The lady kept saying, "There's something else. You're not passing through security." I said, "Oh my goodness. I have a metal hip. I have a full hip replacement." And they all got tickled because here I am with a cane, duh. Well, I made it through. But you get in the wheelchair all the way up to the plane, then you have that one step from the airport to the plane. And there is a crack about yay big between those two. If you look down, oh, it's very scary. But you step that one step into the plane with your cane, and then they put the cane in the overhead, and you're okay. And when you leave, you walk to that same place where that you step out onto the airport, and the wheelchair is there with an attendant to handle you the rest of the way. And that is such a blessing. I could not have done this trip at all without a wheelchair and someone to push it. And dear Tricia, those long corridors on the ship with a threshold every 20 feet where you have to hit the back of the wheelchair and lift the front wheels over the threshold. I don't know how she did it. She is an amazing person with a compassionate, strong heart and a very strong body to be able to do all that. I was so grateful. And the beauty of the air above, above the skyline that we see, is above the clouds. It's so gorgeous. I got to see the sunrise, which was daylight actually in Anchorage, but from the plane I got to see that. It was awesome. And the views are so beautiful. But, I just really don't like to fly because of the fact that it's confining and, long. And in the case of somebody with arthritis and diabetes, you have to eat about a little something every 3 hours, and you need to, with arthritis, you need to get up and walk as much as you can, and I did. But there's no sleeping for me. I kept thinking I might, but no way. 1 Thessalonians 4:17 says, "But ye who are alive and remain will be caught up in the clouds in the sky with the Lord, and so shall you be with him forever." I was thinking when I was on the plane, wouldn't it be cool if the plane just opened up and the Lord just zapped us on up? Well, he may do that one day. You have to be a Christian to look forward to that, though. I hope you've accepted Christ as your Lord and Savior so that you too can be caught up in the clouds in the air and so be with him forever. God bless you today.